It's the Swole Patrol. It's the Swole Patrol, the best podcast about health and fitness. This episode is just Dr. Drew and I. We are going to talk about his diet. He got edgy and yelled at people. He was not happy about being a mean guy, but he has a vicious boner that's veiny, and he's doing damage nightly with it, yeah.
Whoa. Is that so?
I don't know.
Good time.
I assume.
We can talk about something besides my diet. It's consumed this podcast.
Okay, what else is there to talk about?
Okay, let's talk about it. Whatever you wish to talk about, Mr. Host.
Well, I just think that it wouldn't be so intriguing to me if it wasn't for the fact that it's not like you have adapted a new eating style and say, it's nice. I've noticed him different. You're like, my life is totally different.
It's a marked difference. And it's because of this podcast that I did it, right? It's because the guys convinced me to lift heavy, and then I gained a bunch of weight. And I was like, here we go again, because I'm used to that. And you were like, no, go on this anabolic diet. You got to do that, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on the anabolic diet. So I read about the anabolic diet, and I kind of adapted it. I started like 3 days in. I was not as conscientious with the calories as they wanted me to be. Right. But I felt so good. I knew something amazing was happening. Then after a week of that, I was afraid to do the carbohydrate part. Right. Because I was feeling so great.
Well, you're not supposed to after a week. It
was 2 weeks. Whatever it was, I was afraid to do it because I just thought, I'm officially Sean Baker now. Okay. Because I thought, this is too good. I'm afraid to lose all this great this progress. I got stronger. I got leaner. My blood pressure went down. I was never hungry, which is, I haven't been like that in years.
What's been the most surprising aspect? Was it because I doubt that you're surprised that the satiety is higher with high fat foods. I mean, that seems kind of obvious.
With the irritability and stuff I had, I was a little bit sort of manicky at first. That was a little kind of
how far
weird.
in?
I was sleeping like 6 hours a night, and not wanting any more. Day 4 or 5, I started feeling that way. Yeah,
and about 4 or 5. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think I got irritable really like about a weekend, I didn't need to sleep as much, and I was lifting heavier weights, and it just was all good. It was ridiculous.
And your hair grows more.
I had to go to the hair to get my hair cut a week early because I just couldn't make it. It was just like all over the place. That
is strange.
Unheard of.
As a man,
I was just in the dentist. My gums healed.
Huh.
I have chronic gum stuff that all was getting better. I was like, what?
That's crazy.
It's all crazy.
As a doctor, what do you think that is? If you could speculate,
it seems without any. This is strictly without any evidence, right? So sure. I have no science.
Like I said, I mean, this is speculation, but you are
making up a story. I'm making up a story. So all that protein. Well, first of all, not having central obesity, right? I literally was looking at myself going, I'm starting to look like my dad. This is like bad. Even though I still had upper body strength and stuff, I was like, there was a lot of fat being laid, just being laid down across the middle. It just like, for Christ's sake. And I thought, oh my God, is this just being this age is how it's going to go?
Sure.
And I think there's lots of theories about that being inflammatory. And again, what we mean by inflammatory is sort of unclear. And certainly we know it changes insulin metabolism, right? Okay. For sure. It probably changes blood pressure. It probably changes a lot of different physiological parameters that your body just doesn't, let's say it doesn't like. It doesn't like having all this adipose tissue around the center for some reason. People.
When you say it doesn't like it, how does it behave in a way that it doesn't like it? What lets doctors know that it doesn't like it?
Your insulin resistance goes up. Okay. Your blood pressure goes up. Your cholesterol goes up. You maybe have more sleep problems, more sleep, snoring, sleep apnea, more joint aches and muscle aches, that sort of thing. That's all stuff I was experiencing.
Can you explain in a somewhat layman's way? And I understand this in a very broad sense, because I came from a background of bodybuilding where insulin is maybe even more important than testosterone. It's a vital aspect of bodybuilding. So much so that guys take exogenous insulin. They're injecting insulin into their body around training time with heavy carb meals and stuff. what is insulin resistance? What is the what functions inside the body to create insulin resistance? And what does insulin do to make you fat?
Well, it determines adipose deposition. I mean,
Okay.
it's related to that. But insulin resistance, the cells don't respond to insulin normally in terms of bringing in glucose. So your body responds to that by increasing the insulin that's circulating.
Okay.
In an attempt to drive the sugar into the cell, and that has effects. That has all the stuff we're talking about, which is essentially associated with the metabolic syndrome.
And the only way to counteract that would be to lower your sugar intake.
You can lower your sugar intake, or really dramatically to reduce your carbohydrate intake, so the insulin sort of flattens out.
Right.
But there's something about the central obesity that I don't. They talk about it a lot in the literature. I'm not so sure they understand what the physiology is, and I worry when people talk about inflammation that we don't really know what we're talking about.
It seems so vague.
Well, inflammation to me is certain cells in your white blood cell system that release inflammatory mediators, cytokines, things like that. And we know those are destructive to tissue. We know that's what they do. But it doesn't make sense to me that that's the mechanism that's affecting the lining of the arteries.
Yeah.
The endothelial system is its own organ system. And that's the one that's so deeply affected by insulin and cholesterol, at least the small particles. Exactly how? Probably different in different people. It involves different cellular mechanisms even that some people may or may not have. So, Vinny's point about the LDL and the low and even more so than the LDL, the small particles, it's well founded. I mean, it's not a 1-to-1 correlation between having a high LDL and getting endothelial damage.
Right.
It's sort of a kind of a process that heads in that direction in most cases. But back to my theory about what's going on with the protein, I have a feeling that all this protein pushes you towards anabolism. Right. So you're building stuff up, but I'm imagining it feels like that my immune system is also charged up. Like my bone marrow is able to probably push out more, I don't know, material.
Yeah.
Maybe the muscle is being replaced more readily, or more being built more readily in some weird way by the availability of the amino acids that they're now circulating. I don't know.
It's a pretty high bioavailability of said amino acids.
But it's a constant bioavailability too. It's not like an intermittent bioavailability. It's all the time, and it makes sense that would be something that your body could rebuild its own proteinaceous material, like my gums, like my immune system, like my muscle. This is all protein built, right? And so it makes sense to me that if that was in sort of a relatively deprived state, let's say, with inflammation because of fat deposition, that's a different physiology than with the inflammation's going away, the insulin resistance is going down, and all of a sudden there's a lot of amino acid flying around. And again, why can't I take amino acid tablets and get the same thing? I don't know.
I think a lot of times people do. I mean, I know that
probably not.
Essential amino acids
maybe. But essential amino acids are in the meats. I mean, they're
sure. But I know that like right now, and really really smart guys, not just kind of boneheaded jocks, are infusing intra workout nutrition. So during your workout, they're having either a cyclic dextrin, something really really quickly absorb a carbohydrate that's just super insulinogenic with the 9 essential amino acids. So
the idea is to try to
force feed,
push you towards deposition of muscle. But that's not really my goal, right? I'm not. I mean, I like that I can lift stronger, heavier weights and stuff, and I'm liking that I'm leaning out and sort of not losing muscle particularly. Although I've started to lately, I've noticed. Eventually this feels a little bit like I don't want to say a starvation state, but there's something.
That's where those cyclical carbohydrate injections come in.
And I get that.
That's why, in comparison to what would be looked at as a traditional medical ketogenic diet, which is 85% fat, 10% protein, and maybe 5% carbohydrates.
Yeah.
You're looking at something that you're following a modified ketogenic diet, then every 5 to 7 days injecting, getting a huge anabolic push from the insulin.
That's an anabolic diet, right?
Right.
And so again, because I'm not just focusing on my diet, right? I'm trying to do something that I can incorporate into my life.
How is the training?
The training's good. I'm going heavy. I'm going heavy, and I enjoy
sticking to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I dig it. My shoulder's starting to kick in again, but it got better at first on this diet.
Yeah.
My back got better with the heavy lifting. My shoulder got better with the diet, and then now my shoulder's kind of kicking back in again a little bit.
And the weights are becoming?
I'm not a massive. The movements are power movements, but I'm not heavy. I'm like 300 pounds with the deadlift and 4 reps.
Which considering how new you are to training,
and how old
pretty
I am,
goddamn impressive.
Yeah. And I'm doing better with squats than I ever have.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, extraordinary because I've always had to baby my back doing squats, and I'm not really doing that. I'm also doing about 300 pounds there and getting 5 decent reps out of that.
Look at you.
Yeah. And then that seems to have helped everything else.
Right.
Yeah. Although lately I've felt a little strength drop. I don't know what this is. I don't know.
I'm thinking tomorrow might be the day, Drew.
What?
Just
take some carbs?
Get some
carbs.
Sweet potatoes and rice and some donuts.
Well, that's the other thing. I've noticed there's it's not a craving in the way I used to crave when I would just try to gut it out. It's a craving in the way of like, geez, I would like something different. I sure would like the
variability,
bread or something.
Yeah,
I don't have to have it, but I just like something different. So
look, that's the basis of cyclical ketogenic diets is that I'm
afraid I would just slip all the way. It's like,
there's no way to do it in a 12 to 24 hour period. You're not talking about.
And by the way, in the anabolic diet, they're really talking about controlling the calories very tightly on the carb day.
Right.
And I'm not sure I can do that. I'm not sure.
Well, when you say control it, they're just saying you can't have an entire cake and wash it down with pizza. But you could have.
They were a lot more restrictive than that.
Yeah,
a lot. I mean, like you could have a cup of oatmeal, and then you could have some blueberries in the afternoon. It's like, and then I'll have a donut.
Yeah, and then I want pizza. So fuck you.
So I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird, because I'm not, it's not my life, and I'm not overwhelmed by it, and this is all sort of fun and interesting to me. I'm not. I don't know. It has to not overtake me. You know what I mean? I have to be able to do it and live. Yeah. It's bad enough I bring, half a dozen hard-boiled eggs and some bacon around with me all day long. People are laughing and pointing at me.
Literally laughing at you, yeah.
Literally.
Have you been fucking with the MCT oil?
Yeah. Just in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all. I know how to use MCT. It works great for me.
Really,
but appetite's not the problem.
Really good for appetite suppression.
Yeah, it's not. But it's not the problem. But it's. I'll tell you what I'm here. I think I now know what I was trying to tell you before. There's a kind of a inadequate satiation feeling. Like I'm full, but I'm not satiated.
Yeah.
MCT is giving satiation.
Yeah, you're not satisfied. You're just not satisfied.
Not fully.
Yeah.
That's kind of like after a lot of that, it's like.
You know what does that for me? What really does that for me is
probably because I'm not eating fat.
Exogenous ketones.
Like a ketone powder kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. That really...
Well, I've got some of that stuff. I might try it.
I start messing with that. I mean, that will just chop me down and get any cravings, any kind of appetite problems I have, that stuff.
Yeah, appetite's not the problem. That's amazingly not.
Yeah.
It's always been, and amazingly not right now. But what I'm in trouble with is judging how to bring other stuff in, so I just sort of stay literal,
What is your training going to look like from here on out? Are you just going to stick with just lifting?
Well, that's a good question.
What's your jogging?
I started running at least one day a week,
okay.
And sometimes 2, and I enjoy it, but it hurts. It doesn't feel like it did before because
you're sore as shit from lifting.
Yes, yeah. And so when you I've done like heavy squats and deadlifts one day, and then I run the next day.
Yeah.
This is bad. And even the day after, it's rough.
Well, so I would stick with even the day of. Oftentimes, if I'm going to do any aerobic work, and when I say aerobic work, I'm talking 115 to 125 BPMs. I'm like really keeping it low.
Yeah,
aerobic
that's
work
I like doing
to
that.
Fat burning. To increase fat burning.
That's sort of my natural zone.
I will do it right after I train legs because I know that. For the next 3 days, I'm not going to be able to. I'm just not going to.
I did that once, and it was not good the next day.
Yeah.
I think literally I have to make sure that I have about a 3-day break before running. And then not get at it too quick with the heavy weights, heavy legs.
And
You got to remember, my whole life I've barely worked legs, so this is all new
Right.
territory for me.
I do one day of real aerobic training, and I'll do an hour to an hour and a half of like I said, really low heart rate. Then 1 day a week of sprints.
This
I'm
is all independent.
blasting.
This is all-
I'm talking 185 to between
How
185 and 200 beats per minute.
For how long will you do that?
Oh, that's a 20-minute workout.
Yeah.
Not including warm up and stuff.
And is it sort of
Literally
lengthening sprints?
Yeah, nothing. People can say, "Oh, I row or I swim." Nothing compares to real sprinting. You get out there and you go like the cops are chasing you. There's nothing like that. You're just.
Do you do expanded and contracting?
I'll do
distances?
usually 5 50-yard dash with maybe a minute to a minute and a half rest, and then I'll do 5 100-yard dash with 2 minutes rest.
Well, it's like football practice.
Yeah, it's utterly horrible.
Yeah.
Utterly terrible.
And that's independent of your weightlifting.
Yeah.
Oof. I just it's already eaten up a bit of time now.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's up. I'm up towards an hour, and maybe around 15 some days, and it's I'm trying to get 5 days a week, 6 days a week if I can, the kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's it's hard for me to do more than that. Really hard.
I understand, and
Yeah.
I have the time on my hands now, and I'm also 39. It makes it. But man, I remember when I was 29, it was.
Hey, but I'll tell you what. With this diet, if you had talked to me 2 months ago, I would have been like, "Oh, no way!"
I have the energy.
Now I'm like, if I could do it, if I could find the time.
I had, in fact, a couple weeks ago.
In fact, now it's weirdly enticing.
A couple weeks
before
ago,
it was overwhelming.
I had real trouble sleeping. Couple weeks ago. I was to the point that I know I was tired, and I'm staring at the ceiling, and it's 1 a.m, and I'm like, "What am I doing?"
Yeah.
So I went in the kitchen and I made some pasta. And I've never slept deeper.
Oh, interesting.
Because I'm just so unaccustomed to that insulin surge.
Wow.
And it literally knocked me out. Wow. Like I took Ambien or something. Yeah.
Well, there was some of the nights on my really strict protein, I did note I was sort of, I had so much energy, I was not really sleeping. When I would sleep well, but I was not needing much sleep. I was sort of up.
I think you need to scale back the volume
of meat,
of training.
The volume, the duration?
No, the
weights?
amount of times you're training a week, and increase the maybe the intensity, so that you're training 3 days a week. Maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday you're lifting, and then that gives you more room Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays to
do
go to your jogging, go to your whatever you want to do.
And by intensity, what do you mean?
Keeping in the rep range of 3 to 5, maybe even going down to 1 rep maximum every once in a while, like really just blasting.
I'm not sure I can do that with my shoulder the way it is these days.
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
Really rough.
I mean, injuries make things
really rough. Yeah,
I'm just thinking of.
I wish I could. I would happily do that
because there's programs that I can not only truncate your workouts, but it's going to make it more It literally makes it more optimal because. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're a professional bodybuilder, you're going to have to train with a higher volume. When you're training for purely hypertrophy.
Well, I did that Fitness Genes thing, and he was saying that I need to work according to that profile 6 days a week.
Yeah,
that I would lose ground really quick, and that's been my experience.
So work out 6 days a week, but 3 days a week is lifting.
Yeah,
and it also gives your body, just the central nervous system, the ability to recover. Because especially deadlifts, sometimes they flatten me. I'll want to go to jiu-jitsu or I'll want to go box later that day or maybe even later in the week.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can't. If I get up over 450 for more than 5 reps, I'm my body, and not even my muscles, my system.
No, I get tired. I get that.
Taxed.
I was experiencing some of that. But damn, you miss it when you don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that's very strange because I probably, given the problems that I have with my body, I get very Frankenstein-y, very herky-jerky, and I'm not very fluid with my movements, and I certainly don't need any more muscle mass or strength. I mean, for the average human, I'm far and away enough, but I actually miss it. I almost like I'm addicted to it. There's nothing better than that buzz you get like you take a super heavy, whatever.
You
it's
heard Mark and Chris talking about it.
Relative
Chris Bell, he's taking the kratom so he could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Relative to your strength. I mean, not everybody has to have an 800-pound squat.
Yeah.
But whatever is that 800-pound squat for you,
Yeah.
you get to the top of it and your head starts to buzz and
Yeah.
you feel like this weird euphoria.
Yeah.
You know?
So for me, unfortunately I'm these days more in the sort of meditative zone.
Uh-huh.
I listen to podcasts and things like that. And what do you listen to when you work out?
Like fucking metal.
So you don't listen to podcasts at all? Do you listen to many podcasts?
I listen to 2 or 3 podcasts
What do you listen to?
religiously.
What?
And then nothing else.
What are they?
I listen to Rogan
Yeah.
pretty much every episode.
Yeah.
I listen to Hardcore History,
Oh yeah.
Dan Carlin's Hardcore
Yeah.
History.
He's
And I
great.
listen to, sporadically, we'll listen to The Fighter and the Kid.
So I listen to Sam Harris, who you need to listen to.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I listen to a lot of Sam Harris on other people's podcasts.
Okay. Well, it was called Waking Up or something.
Yeah.
I listen to Econ Talk, which is
I don't want to say this out loud, but it's only occasionally. I'm not trying to fully sell myself out, but it's with some level of frequency. Sam Harris goes over my head.
really
Like he's too smart for me.
no way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
If you concentrate,
Not all the time.
You have to concentrate.
Not all the time.
No,
But-
it does not go over your head. You just drift. You don't
Yeah, but don't
concentrate.
you understand that sometimes you're not listening to a podcast so that you have to concentrate. Sometimes
Well,
you're
see,
listening to a
that's
podcast because you want to
but
just
I,
chill out and
I
relax.
understand that. Yes, I understand that completely. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you. My whole thing in weightlifting now is a almost meditative focus. But the focus is on what I'm listening to and what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Have you ever experimented with like binaural beats? Like stuff that
What?
actually aids with your focus?
What are they?
By like certain tones that actually can enact brainwaves.
Yeah, I think my way of doing it is academic.
I'm sure it is.
Focus.
I'm sure it is. But this is irrefutable proof where, and I don't know how much effect that has on your actual brain function.
Yeah.
But the
Changes.
biomagnetic
I have done stuff like that over
research
the
that
years.
they've done,
Yeah.
they'll do it, and you're like your theta waves and your delta waves.
I've done
can
stuff
be
like that over
boom,
the years.
you know?
Yes, and I was involved with a guy that was doing these alternating. Remember this whole thing, the alternating stimulation of the vestibular system, and
Yeah.
and that affecting appetite suppression.
Dude, you know what I started doing? I can't believe I haven't mentioned this to you. I got a brain scan, like a real one, and I'm doing where they design certain like video games almost.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah. Well, I start on Wednesday.
That's what they do for pain management. They do a lot for pain. What are they doing for you?
Depression and anxiety.
Yeah. No, listen, and it's so funny. So what Mike is talking about is doing a functional MRI scan where certain parts of his brain they focus in on, and then they give him like a cartoon image.
Yeah.
Off of that, that has sort of a narrative quality to it that he focuses on in some way.
This is where they were setting me up for.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then you focus on it in some way to alter that cartoon.
Right.
But I went up to Stanford. I used to do a show on Discovery Health, and I went up there and they were doing this exact thing to help a woman. It was to help her manage chronic pain, and it was a fire, and the fire would go up and down in intensity. And she said, it's not an intellectual thing. It's not a thinking thing, and it's also not a meditative thing. It's literally some way you access. You don't even know how you're doing it. But she says, I just had it. She would tell me, she goes, I had an image that there were little men in there, with shovels, and they were shoveling the coal out of the fire, and it made the fire go down.
Oh.
And that was her little image that she had that made it go down. And I was telling the producers, I go, this is fantastic. So what do the producers do? They show somebody meditating, and the meditation makes the pain go. No, this is not meditation. This is accessing parts of your brain that you can't access through any other means except what's essentially a visual neurobiofeedback.
Why are TV people so fucked up?
I know, it's so crazy. But it's neurobiofeedback,
Seriously.
right? Is that what they're calling this?
Yes.
Neurobiofeedback, yeah. And it's fantastic.
And the feedback I've already gotten,
Yeah.
they've shown me the readout of
the
things
regions,
before
yeah.
I started doing these video games.
Oh, you're doing with EEG. You're doing EEG rather than fMRI.
I think I'm doing both.
You're doing the brain waves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the EEG thing. Yeah, it's still good. It's good.
And they showed it to me, and my subconscious brain is all fucked up. When my brain is engaged,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
But when I'm not, when I'm sleeping, when I'm my subconscious mind and everything
Yeah.
is all chaotic.
So it's dysregulated.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like they showed me the color scheme breakdown, and they're like, see, you should have all light blue.
Yeah.
Mine's all red, fucking dots. And
yes,
shit.
I understand. And subcortical stuff, it could be from the ecstasy and hallucinogens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where the
So he said, do you have a lot of brain injuries? I said, I've had a couple concussions. I fell off a motorcycle. I got football injuries and stuff.
That's not it.
But I think I took a lot of. I used to eat sheets of acid a lot.
It's the acid and the MDMA too. The MDMA. But so, how do we get into this?
We were talking about the meditative state that you get into.
So when I'm listening to podcasts, I'm completely focused, and I'm doing something, lifting at the same time, which is very, relaxing to me. And so the point being is I'm not interested in playing metal music and lifting 700 pounds.
Right.
It just doesn't.
I stopped. I scaled back on every other type of training except for lifting because at the end of this month, I'm heading up to Sacramento to go to super training to train with Mark Bell. And I don't want to be too embarrassed by my numbers up there.
And that's going to be on this podcast or on the website.
I'm going to film it all, and then I'm going to go on his podcast.
Perfect. I was supposed to be on his podcast yesterday, but he canceled on me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, he has something going on.
So I'm excited about that, but I've been really focusing on not only the 3 main lifts, but then ancillary lifts to strengthen like my lower back.
When you say
my
3
hips,
main lifts, is that squat,
deadlift, and bench press?
Oh, you put bench press. That's the third in there.
Well, those are 3 power lifts. Like the competitive power lifts.
Yeah, I understand. But you talked me out of benching because of my shoulder.
Well, I mean, if you're not a competitive power lifter, and you have
I'm getting all this stuff out of the heavy lifting.
If you have shoulder issues, bench press is probably not optimal.
I wonder if I should go back to it just see if I can work out of it.
It's the number one destroyer of shoulders.
I know, but I don't know.
And besides maybe pitching.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's it's a weird, but I like benching.
Well, how do we help the average person that's interested in lifting and whatnot? What we sort of recommend to the average person? We're goofballs. We're screwing around with things. We're doing extreme stuff all over the place.
First. The 5x5 program I think is fucking amazing for beginners. It's called the 5x5 program, and it is exactly as it's sold. 5 sets of 5 reps of a very small amount of key lifts, and it starts you. It actually breaks you down. There's an app and everything.
Yeah.
So you could follow it on. It gives you the rest time, the rest intervals, and your weights.
It's 5
by percentages, and it's 5x5. And for the beginner, it's excellent. If you're a little bit more advanced, Jim Wendler's 531 program, I think, is fucking phenomenal.
That's again, you're talking about reps, 531?
531, yeah. And it's a program that breaks it down. And 1 week you're training in the 5 rep scheme, 3, then 1. Then you go up, 5% on the weights, 531. Yeah. Also, if you're even more advanced, if you're really pushing, if you're someone like me who's a strong guy and then want to get to an elite level, the Texas method is
and what is that?
It's another program. That now you're really getting into the weeds of what's looked at as like a more conjugate system.
So I was always training very simply, like 8 reps, a warm up, a warm up that's heavy. Add 20 more pounds.
Right.
Add 20 more pounds.
Which is listen,
and that's it. And wherever you end up is where you end up.
Analyze your goal. Analyze your goal, and then analyze the best. I mean, I'm an Occam's razor guy. The simplest answer is usually the
parsimony, the law of parsimony.
What do you want to do? Do you want to lose body fat? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to get bigger? Do you want what you really and nail that down? And another piece of advice, I think, an incredibly good piece of advice that I would give to anybody at any level is don't try to put too many balls in the air. Don't say, I want to get 6-pack abs by summer and I want to increase my bench press by 75 pounds.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a mistake to have those kinds of explicit goals. Like, what exactly?
Have an explicit goal, but understand that you can't have 4 simultaneously.
Yeah,
That's so many guys especially, and nowadays with chicks, it's like, I want to lose 20 pounds, but I want to make my butt bigger. And I go, you can't, listen.
That's what I mean by not explicit
goals.
You
need.
I mean, let's just talk about getting things going. What's going to optimally help you? And you forget, because you're like you and me, we've been lifting weights since we were teenagers, how hard it is at first. It really hurts. The muscles really, so you got to
fucks you up.
You have to be you have to start with 1 or 2 reps of every exercise, 1 or 2 sets of every
But
exercise.
isn't it? Don't you feel like it's a pain, but it's gratifying?
Oh,
Like
I like it. I like the feeling, but a lot of people hate it.
Yeah.
And there's different kinds of people in the world. The people that really hate working out, people that hate how their muscles feel. You and I like both. We like how it feels. We like doing it. I feel very lucky that I'm one of those people because it's very natural then to do it. Imagine if you hated it, how hard it would be to do.
I hurt
think
my back, so I'm pissed because I have to take a week of maybe laying off the heavy weights. And I only have like 4 weeks before I go up to Sacramento. But I hurt my back doing jiu-jitsu, and I'm just pissed about it.
But wouldn't you imagine that from my perspective, I always imagine that everybody's going to get to the point where they kind of like it. Where it kind of becomes self-satisfying.
No.
Not everybody. Huh?
Not everybody.
That's sad. That's sad to me. But so again, I would say
you've said it to me. You say, I have patients who literally can't take a pill every day.
No, I know. Take a pill every day. Oh, yeah.
They can't get through.
Oh,
they
no.
don't have the discipline to.
Well, I'm assuming people that could do it will get to the point that they will eventually kind of.
But I think there's a majority of people that can find the love in it, but I still think there's going to be those outliers.
Sure, I understand that. And some people may some people have to have a team activity. Some people have to have a sport attached to their activities.
Yeah.
Some people have to have all kinds of things that people,
everybody
aerobic,
talks about, a lot of trainers talk about, find something you love, find something you really enjoy while you do it. And I go, maybe, but also maybe learn to embrace the shit that you don't like.
Right. But make sure it's the one you'll do. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Right. There's ones you just won't do. But
I'm not going to swim. I know I should. I'm not going to swim.
Yeah. Right. Me neither. And I have plenty of patients that do just the swimming, and they do it like crazy, and they love it.
I should. I'm not a good enough swimmer. I should be a better swimmer. I need to practice. I never took any formal lessons. I swim like a dog trying to save its life.
Really?
I should swim. I'm not going to do it.
You literally can't do a stroke?
Maybe. I don't know.
Man,
I don't really know.
Dude, you surfed for a while, didn't you?
I still do.
What happens when you get... God, I'd hate to be the lifeguard at your beach.
100% of the times I surf, even in 2-foot waves.
Yeah.
100% of the times there's a moment where I go,
I'm drowning.
It's been a good run.
Oh, my God.
It's been a good run. I'm dead.
How awful. Although I got to admit, though, I was really very skilled in the water. And now when I go in, I'm like, geez, what happened here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, getting buff doesn't help.
I know. Having a fucked up shoulder doesn't help either, believe me. But my thing, when I think about people starting out, I would just say, there's certain lifts I just think, a lot of them involve dumbbells. I would say I would just do, 3 or 4 sets incline dumbbells, some sort of shoulder press, preferably with a machine, overhead press, preferably with a machine, not necessarily, maybe some light dumbbells, maybe dumbbell lateral raises. I would do some sort of flat bench dumbbell. I would do a squat. I would do a curl for 3 or 4 sets, and I would do a push down 3 or 4 sets.
Not enough pulling in my.
Oh, and I'd also do pull-ups. I would do pull-ups or pull-ins
and rows. It needs
pull-ins.
The vertical pull needs to be trained hard.
You mean this?
No, vertical pull. Excuse me, horizontal pull.
Pull in.
Any
I
type
just
of
call
rows.
this pull-ins. Yeah. So for me, the basic moves for a beginner: incline dumbbell, flat dumbbell, some sort of shoulder raise. Pull-ins, pull-ups, squat.
Yeah.
Those and curl, push down, curl up, push down.
See, I don't even think that's necessary.
I think for a beginner, they like that. They really it feels like they're doing something.
To me, it would be
a small muscle group is gratifying at the beginning.
Yeah, but if you did chins, you wouldn't need it. Yeah. If you've never trained and you start benching religiously, your triceps are fine. If you've never trained and you start doing chins, even if they're weight assisted,
your biceps are fine.
Your biceps are fine. If you never train and you deadlift, your arms are.
I understand what you're saying, but I just remember early on being satisfied with the small muscle group movements. It just because you can't lift heavy weights, you can't lift weights. It just feels good. That's me.
Yeah, I mean, there's something because you get the pump. You
get a pump, right? Then you don't get it any other way.
It's better than coming.
You don't get it any other way at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's how you get it. So, maybe shoulder sometimes you'd feel it. With like a
do you almost lose consciousness when you train? Because I do, occasionally.
I do every time I deadlift.
Deadlift.
I have to lie down or sit down because if I don't get, I have to. Well, here's what I do. I deadlift. I have to. I have a thing I can rack the weight up about a foot off the ground. I have to keep my head down and hold on to the bar, and then immediately get somewhere.
See,
to
I
sit
have to
down.
hold on to something vertical. I'll deadlift. I'll set the weight down and immediately grab like a squat rack.
Yeah, but you're putting your head back up. I keep my head down.
Yeah, I don't want to keep my head down because I'll fall forward.
You know the blood will stay. I promise. If you keep your head down, you'll be okay. But as soon as you stand back up, it's over. And that's what I do. As soon as I know that my blood's going to my head again, then I can make it to the bench to sit down. Then I sit down for a while. And the horrible part is though, what I need to do, what I've noticed is I need to walk for my back. I need to walk after a deadlift. It really helps my back loosen up.
Hanging, I do a lot of hanging.
I do a lot of hanging too, but it doesn't do the same thing as walking for me. Walking immediately, I'm like, cool.
If I hang long enough, I can literally feel my spine decompressing.
That all happens in my upper. That happens in my upper body and neck and stuff. Yeah, and I do it 15 times a workout.
Do you ever do weighted dips just to feel like you have?
I
balls?
used to. My shoulder won't take.
Because now I just do it. and I'll throw like a 90-pound.
I used to do
dumbbell.
weighted everything. That's how I fucked my shoulder up.
Yeah.
Was weighted pull-ups, weighted dips.
I'll throw a 90-pound dumbbell in between my legs, and I feel like I've just got giant, heavy, dangling balls. Pendulous 90-pound.
I just saw the South Park where Randy has to call his testicles around in a cart.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
All right, here you go. If you're a complete beginner, 5x5.
5x5 of what?
The program will break it down for you. Yeah, go Google 5x5 program.
Right.
And like I said, it even has an app. I think it's like $2.99.
Yeah.
That it'll calculate the weights for you.
Okay. Well, I'm always a little suspicious of that, frankly, sticking too close to somebody else's dictation of weight.
But if
you
put
be
in
your comfort a little bit.
But if you put in that your 1 rep maximum, let's say your bench press is 135.
Yeah.
Your 1 rep max.
Yeah.
It has you training 5x5 at 65 pounds.
Does it make you check what your weight maximum is?
Yes.
You have to figure that out?
Yes.
You're going to hurt yourself doing that.
Well,
I'm already concerned about that.
They also provide calculations to estimate.
All right.
If you can.
All right.
And then if you want to graduate to 531, Jim Wendler's program, I think that's great. If you're looking to get bigger, if you're listening, you're like, I just want to be jacked. I don't care if I have a 500-pound deadlift. German volume training is the best.
And what is that?
GVT is as far as throwing on slabs of muscle and hypertrophy, German volume training is fantastic. And that's usually based around 10 sets of 10.
10 sets of 10.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's not heavy weight, that's for sure.
Exactly. You're looking at 65%.
See, I don't get much out of that.
Well,
because when if I do 10, I can sometimes do 10 reps, but if I don't keep going up on the weights, everything just goes away.
Yeah, but I hear you.
Yeah.
But trust me, if you're doing 1-minute rest intervals on, say,
I'm not sure
barbell
about this.
row.
That's the shit the trainers used to always foist on me. And I'm like,
I mean, listen, maybe it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't work for you. But I'm saying a broad recommendation for hypertrophy as far as
the 531 is, I think, better for me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, plenty of people respond from
different things. We all respond to different stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, now what do you tell an average person diet-wise? Just starting out.
Stop eating. I mean,
Carbs.
I think what Vinny's saying. No, I mean, stopping eating carbs isn't necessarily the great overall advice. I know there's keto.
I would say increase your egg intake. That's an easy thing you can do.
Increase your healthy fat intake, increase your protein intake, and make sure it's within reason of your caloric intake. That's my best advice.
How do you know what your caloric intake should be?
Again, I know the average beginner is not going to do this, but
right.
You got to journal what you eat, and you got to find your basal metabolic rate.
I think if you just at the start, just start, add a hamburger patty in instead of whatever else you were doing, eat a lot more eggs, and see if you can cut out starch. Just do that.
Cutting out starch alone. I mean, look, like a more ketogenic based diet for the average person is probably a good recommendation because you're gonna steer yourself away from highly palatable foods that make you overeat.
And a lot of early diet is really just paying attention.
Yeah,
literally, it's just making conscious choices. And if you're heading towards more fat, more protein, less starch, it's going to make a difference.
It's going to make a difference.
And to me, always eggs is an easy way to do that.
I think that,
and not too expensive too.
And they do make you feel better somehow. I don't know if it's a folic acid. I don't know what it is, but
I think eggs are a great way to go. If you want to throw cheese on it,
jizz is great.
Jizz on the eggs.
Yeah, just in general, up your jizz intake, preferably mine. Men and women, don't discriminate.
Oh, you want both?
Oh, yeah, I don't care.
You don't care.
I'm just right from the hose. Close your eyes. Thank you. First off to Douglas Pinsky for the intro music, the music that I sing over. He is a very talented musician, and he'll take your orders. If you want to go to drdrew.com, you can find out how you can get Douglas Pinsky to make a jingle for you if you want it for a podcast, commercial, whatever. He really is a very talented guy. Find all the shows we have available at drdrew.com. Click on the banners. Tell a friend. Find me on Twitter at Mike Catherwood. Dr. Drew is at Dr. Drew, of course. And our faithful producer at First Lady of Love. She is in charge of the at Swole Patrol Pod Twitter handle. I think that's about it. Everybody, I love you. Stay swole.
I want to welcome True Niagen to the show. True Niagen is a dietary supplement designed to boost key cellular resource called NAD. That's short for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It's a coenzyme found in every living cell. It's essential to our cells, and it's a key mediator of metabolism. A lot of work being done in NAD these days. I've been watching it very carefully. The science is preliminary, but it's been looking good in a lot of areas. What's exciting about these studies is that the increased NAD levels may potentially help with cellular metabolism, regulating circadian rhythm, and they're even hopeful it may slow the effects of aging. Very interesting research, and seemingly no adverse effects. So while studies are very early, science out there is impressive. The biohacking community has gotten behind the research. Actually, the addiction treatment community has gotten behind it too. I've been intrigued with the possibilities surrounding NAD and the research behind True Niagen. I suggest you check it out for yourself. Go to their website. In June, I had a chance to speak with the company's chief scientific advisor, Dr. Charles Brenner, on the Dr. Drew podcast. It was deep science, and it piqued my interest. In fact, I got on the product after talking to him. Definitely check out that episode. And to learn more about the research, the science, and the True Niagen supplements, visit TrueNiagen.com. That is TruNiagen.com. Check it out today.
Hey, everybody, it is the Swole Patrol podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Catherwood, and Dr. Drew is at Dr. Drew, of course. Join the email list today. Send your questions, drdrew.com/contact, and put Swole at the top of the email so we can get your comments. And this will get you a weekly email reminder with a link to this show and all the great shows that Dr. Drew and I do, and all the shows that Dr. Drew does by himself, and of course with Adam Carolla, the great Ace Man. Please tell a friend and subscribe on iTunes. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars, and on Podbean or Google Play. All 3 help us out. We also are on YouTube/Dr. Drew, and hope you can give us all your comments, even if you're a troll and you want to destroy our feelings and our emotions. Support our sponsors and the show. Click on the banners on drdrew.com for the links to products for special discounts for the products Dr. Drew and I endorse 100%. Send questions and comments to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Swole Patrol Podcast, or on Twitter at Swole Patrol Pod. Also, browse drdrew.com for the This Life podcast that I co-host on occasion, and all the other shows available like Adam and Dr. Drew and the This Life podcast. A lot of great stuff. Don't forget to check me out on K-Rock in the mornings on the Kevin and Bean Show. And be good. Be swole. #Swole Patrol.